All right, so from Rocky Auto collection, shop, workshop, and storage, we go to Rocky Auto's own museum. It was only a matter of time before Watanabe-san kind of decided to, create a well-curated display for his most prized possessions, and that's precisely what he did. This is my second visit to the museum. I actually came here when he first opened about 2-3 years ago, and things have gotten more serious. There's F1 cars, there's even more GTRs, there's even more Ken Marys and Akoskas. And we're basically going to take a look and kind of have a wander around both floors of the museum. There's about 30 cars in today. He does kind of shift the collection around a bit. And he's created a place for car guys to come and enjoy, basically. We are a very picturesque kind of location here alongside a beautiful river here outside Okazaki. Aichiken is one of the nicest, prefectures in Japan when it comes to creating these picturesque type backdrops. And basically alongside the museum, he's also built a cafe where people can come and chill, have a coffee, walk through the museum and talk about cars with their friends. And there's plenty of space, for car guys to come here with other friends, kind of do like Sunday cruises or bring the family out here. So he's really worked not only sharing his collection, but creating a space for people to enjoy that, because in Japan, that is actually one of the hardest things to do. He's just pointed out there's a massive koi, wild koi, swimming in the canal. Wow, look at the size of that thing. So this is the space I was talking about. This is the cafe. This is the Rocky Auto Cafe. Watanabe really did work hard at creating a really nice place for car guys to come and chill, relax, have a drink, and enjoy all the wonderful cars that he's prepared here in the museum, and kind of reminisce about a time where, Japanese manufacturers used to pump out an insane amount of sports cars. I mean, back in the day, 60s, 70s, 80s, even before the golden era of the 90s, there was just an insane amount of sporty cars that manufacturers used to create out here, and it's basically the perfect venue to come and remind yourself of those golden years. He's so kind today that he's managed to even come out on his day off and open up the cafe and the museum for me to kind of have a look around and take it all in. So from Ken Mary and a Skyline Japan, we go to a wide body race Hako, and a couple of Z's and an R32 down there. And let's take a step inside the museum because there's a lot to see. I thought it was an F1 car outside there, but it's actually some Formula Nippon. 2 F1 cars here. These are only the chassis. There are no engine, or at least there's no engine on this one, there's an engine on that one. I mean, look at this. 2 Ital Design GTR 50s. And as you know, I've just come back from Italy where I got to drive the test car at Ital Design with the guys from Ital Design there, allowing Larry and I to have a ton of fun with these cars. And to come back here to Japan and see another 2, amazing. I have to say, I've never actually seen a blue one, so this is a bit of a treat. Absolutely amazing. Right, let's continue with the museum tour. There's some of the crazier builds that Rocky Auto has created over the years. I remember actually shooting this yellow car with an imported American V8 churning out 600 horsepower. Right here is a pretty serious drag build with a massive supercharger sitting atop of the Chevy V8. We keep moving on, and it's basically a celebration of Watanabe's passion for the cars that he kind of told us that he loves. And of course that includes a lot of Nissans, Ken Marys, Akoskas, not to mention the 2000 GTs. These are the cars that he builds. These are the 3000 GT replicas. Here's the convertible kind of a replica of the car used in the James Bond movie. And as we continue on, there's two more down here. So they all have the Rocky 3000 GT emblem on the fender. And these are actually visibly much larger than the original 2000 GT. It sits a good 10 to 15 centimeters wider on each side, and it makes it a slightly bigger car to fit in and kind of drive. And right here is the race replica that he also created for a special customer, which is also on this year's calendar. This is the actual clay model that he commissioned before the project even began. This is the 3000 GT body that was designed and created to kind of get the dimensions and the looks just right before production began. As we keep going around, big long lineup of Z's. We have a couple of race cars here, one with a supercharger, which we've actually been given the okay to roam free. So what I'm doing here is perfectly fine. This is actually an L28 supercharger. And just in case you're wondering, a lot of these cars here on display and in Watanabe's collection are up for sale. So if you see anything that you like, a good chance that it might be for sale. Here's another one that I remember shooting back in the day, the carbon fiber wrapped S30 with the carbureted RB26. This car was actually a car that I shot for Watanabe for his calendar that year. I think it was like 2015 or 16 now. And of course, as we know, Rocky Auto is pretty much one of those guys that kind of pioneered engine swapping in Japan. He's never been afraid of dropping any engine into any car. It doesn't really matter brands or anything. But for this particular S30 project, he kept it in the family and transplanted a VQ35 in there. Interesting project. I wanted to take another look at this race car. Fully stripped out. All the fire suppressant. Custom dash. It's got a brake bias adjuster. The battery's been repositioned where the passenger seat used to be. Fuel cell in the back. Roll cage. Of course, the works fenders. The long nose, and some pretty insane looking carburetors. So here, as we noticed on the way in, there's the Yamaha powered Mild 7 F1 car that used to be driven by Unkyo Katayama, legendary Japanese F1 driver. This car does not have an engine. There is a transaxle back there. Same with this one. The headers have been left visible. But cool to see some crazy old race cars from back in the day. This is Kurosawa's old Mugen-powered machine. So forgive me, I had to come back to the GTR 50 in blue, which is actually Watanabe's personal car. One he spec'd up years back and he picked up not so long ago. Very unique color combination, and it has the silver wheels. And again, you know, these cars are meticulously built at Ital Design in Italy, and it's really cool to see a Bayside blue car next to this metallic gunmetal with all the gold details. So this is actually a car that belongs to one of his customers. Like I said, this is Watanabe's own. Okay, so we've seen the museum, and now I wanted to show you guys the Rocky Auto Cafe, which is right next to it. Like I mentioned, today is actually their holiday. They were kind enough to open up the premises for us and come here and basically kind of gather as much content as possible, because they really do some amazing stuff. Hey, there's even a Mitsubishi Willis-inspired war Jeep. Actually, they use the Willis name. Interesting. So, let's take a look at the Rocky Auto Cafe. As you can see, they've been in operation since 1985, and that means the business, not the cafe. And like I said, this is an amazing place to come and have a drink and relax while being surrounded by really cool cars. There's a lot of cool meets that happen here. A beautifully decorated place, really cool tables, all custom made. Really, really amazing space. Over here, some merch for people to come and pick up on their visit here. They get a lot of visits from foreigners as well. And of course, you can pick up their calendars and take a look at some of the magazines that they've been featured in. I actually just noticed that these chairs have been carved out of a single piece of wood. You can actually see the circles here. Lots of cool magazines, but my favorite magazine in Japan, and if you've ever been to Japan, you'll know how cool these magazines are, Garage Life. This is the perfect publication to inspire yourself, and there's Watanabe-san at Rocky Auto Cafe. So basically you inspire yourself checking this magazine out, because it's kind of showing some of the best car spaces that people have created here in Japan at their homes or businesses. And it's always so interesting to flick through. Okay, so Watanabe-san is actually going to let me into, this is the latest addition to the Rocky Auto Museum. This was not here on my first visit a couple of years ago. So he's basically moved all his really vintage cars into this separate space. He's actually rebuilt a building here that was next to the cafe building. And we can go inside and take a look at some cars that I have no idea what they are, because we're going back in time here. And I don't even know where to start here. There's a big Ford V8 drop top over here, a 1932 Ford, which is powered by a flathead 2.2 liter V8. Next to it is an even more vintage Rolls-Royce. This is more of a limo here. You can see how the rear section is separated here. So from two Rolls-Royces we go on to an even older car. This is an Albany. It looks like it's probably like an early century car. It's a car space that really caters to so many different flavors. There's a vintage car for everybody. There's modified cars, there's brand new specials like the GTR 50. And it kind of highlights Watanabe's really interesting take on cars and what he likes. He just likes a bit of everything, which includes a lot of these older cars too. All right, it doesn't quite end there. There's another section to the storage here. Inside here we have part after part to pretty much everything. So when you create custom creations, engine swaps, you really need to have an arsenal of parts behind you to kind of cater to every build. And right here is even a pairing of F3 single-seater race cars. This one is actually still running its 3 liter Mugen V8 engine, so potentially a runner.